Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports.
And welcome everybody to FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. This is the Fighting Irish Daily Blitz, and I'm your host, Rob Thitoff, also known as RPT. You can find me on Twitter at PThitoff. So for episode 66, as I mentioned earlier, for episode 65, it's going to be quick again. Fighting this cold. I just want to go back to resting right now, but I want to get this out to prepare you guys for what's up next and within the next 2 weeks for women's basketball, which is our discussion for episode 66. So this past Friday, I'm coming off the regular season ACC championship that we gutted out that tough win at Louisville last week to have the the outright title of the ACC. There was no tiebreakers or anything. We won the ACC regular season. So our first opponent was this Friday against NC State. They came in at 20-11. The 8th seed, they actually beat us in January 69-65 at their place. So we were seeking some revenge. The big thing was no Olivia Miles. Notre Dame has been very hush-hush on her situation. It doesn't look like she tore her ACL, but they're just saying she's day-to-day. They're doing that because they don't want that to affect their seeding right now. Because if they say she's out for the year, the committee could say, oh, well, Notre Dame during the season was pretty much a 2 and 3 seed. They don't have one of the best players in the country right now. They're going to go to a 5 or 6. So it's pretty smart by Notre Dame saying, hey, it's a day-to-day situation. Because look at Ohio State right now. They had the JC, I think her name is JC Sheldon. She finally came back this week for the Big Ten tournament. Ohio State started out the year the best start in their history, but then they had some major injuries. Well, she's back now. That may help their seeding because they knocked off IU, Indiana, yesterday. So it kind of goes both ways. Like if you're like with us, we've had so many injuries lately that could deteriorate our seeding, but with like Ohio State, since their players are starting to become healthier, that may affect their seeding in more of a positive way. So we'll see how that happens. It was a very sloppy game, but we end up winning this game 66-60, 19 turnovers, which is way too many, 18 out of 24 in the free throws, and which isn't bad, but 4 of those came from Sonia Citron, who's carried this team since Olivia Miles has been out, but she had another one of her best games of her career again, except for the free throws. 28 points, 9 rebounds. Maddie Westbell, double-double, 15 points, 10 rebounds. Lauren Ebel, 8.6 rebounds, but she made some dumb bonehead plays again. Missing some layups. Had a foul, that like an intentional foul, technical more or less, where it almost brought NC State back into the game. However, we did win the game 66-60, and that set up the game yesterday against Louisville, who we beat at the buzzer not even 3 weeks ago when Olivia Miles had that great fadeaway shot. Then last week, they had the game pretty much won. Olivia Miles goes out, but we gutted out that. I'll say it again, that's one of the toughest, hard-nosed wins I've ever seen from both men or women's at Notre Dame in Notre Dame history. And just even if Olivia Miles had played yesterday, to beat a quality team like Louisville 3 times in one season, that's tough to do. And with just a short bench right now. I mean, we only have about 7 to 8 scholarship players, and it just wasn't in our favor yesterday, but we didn't help the matters either because we played pretty much pathetic all the way around. Louisville came in 22-10. The 4th seed, we committed 22 turnovers. The score at half, we trailed 29-15 at half. We scored 15 points. We had 13 turnovers. It's just unacceptable. Lauren Ebo was terrible again. I'm sorry, Lauren. You've got to get your head in the game, especially if Olivia can't go in the next 2 weeks. She's got to. I know she was hurt for a while, and they said she's still walking in a boot, but she can play at times. And she probably, if Olivia was not out right now, she probably wouldn't be playing. But who knows the situation? But if you're going to play, at least have your head in the game is what I'm trying to say. Sonia Citron only had 8 points. We were led by Maddie Westbeld with 9. I will say Nat Marshall played a solid game off the bench. They got to get her more involved. She's 6'5". She had 6 points, 2 rebounds. Don't get me wrong, it's great to get any sort of hardware at the end of the season. When Notre Dame men won their first conference tournament in 2015, that propelled them to that Elite 8 performance where they almost beat Kentucky. And that was probably maybe the biggest win in Notre Dame history because they've never won a national title in men's basketball. So I'm not discounting to win a conference tournament championship, but take those with a grain of salt because sometimes, let's just take last year's men's ACC tournament. Virginia Tech, I believe they win 4 games in 4 days, get an automatic, they're a bubble team at the time. They get an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. However, sorry, my phone just went off there. However, they end up getting to the NCAA tournament. Great. They won the ACC championship the previous week. They lose in the first round the next week. One could have been, just the opponent. I forget the opponent they played. Maybe it was just not a good matchup for them. I think a lot of times, too, the further you go in, especially for the men's side, because they play those tournaments, the championship is either played on that Saturday or that Sunday. And then sometimes they may have to turn around and then their first game is that Thursday, or if it's that Friday, it's still just a 1-day difference. So you're not getting, I don't want to say not enough rest, but it's a pretty quick turnaround. So what I'm trying to say, like for Virginia Tech, they pretty much had dead legs going in the following week. And I would feel a little bit better right now too. The only sort of negative thing about this now with the women game, they have 2 weeks off. So next week you have the men's conference tournament. And then the following week, the men start that Thursday, Friday. And I believe the women start Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. So the next game Notre Dame women will play will be not for another 2 weeks. And that'll be 3 weeks off for Olivia Miles, depending on if she can go or not. So she has time to recuperate still. But my only issue is, okay, great. We didn't win the ACC tournament. We got, we can regroup. But can we if she cannot play? That's my only sort of apprehension with that statement there. But as I said before, sometimes those conference tournaments can really, one, if you're a bubble team, if you win enough games in those tournaments, you're not a bubble team anymore and you get that at-large bid. But then going back to Ohio State there, they're in the opposite situation where, hey, this is giving them momentum into the tournament, and they're going to have 2 weeks off anyway after today, whatever happens against them in Iowa. But they're showing the women's committee that, hey, we were not playing with a full deck most of the season, but now we got JC Sheldon back now, and we may have been just a 5th or 6th seed. And if they win the tournament today against Iowa, I mean, they got to be three seed at worst. But maybe they went from a 5th to a 6th starting this weekend. Now they're going to be, a 4 or 5 or maybe even a 3. So what I'm just take these conference tournaments with a grain of salt. Yes, they can be. It's always nice to add hardware, get some confidence, but don't think just because you lose in that tournament. And like Notre Dame yesterday, I can't remember now because I didn't know if I told you the score, but they lost 64-38 to Louisville yesterday. And I know we're not nearly 30 points or 26 points there worse than Louisville, but I think we're just kind of gassed right now with, Sonia Citron having to do so much more with Olivia Miles being out. They've just had to go through a lot this last week with another one of their best players, because Dara Mabry went out earlier this year. And we got maybe 7 players left. And I know it's always, well, just next woman up, with the women's game or next man up with the men's game. That only goes so far. Eventually, you only can do so much with what you have. So we'll see what these 2 weeks are. But despite the fact that, and we didn't finish the season 25-5. And I know there was a lot of things against us yesterday, but we just played. Despite all that, our head was just not in the game anyway. So we got to regain that focus and kind of go from there, no matter if we have Olivia Miles or not. So Coach Ivey has a lot to ponder and game plan on for the next for the next 2 weeks, because if Olivia can't go, she's going to have to rearrange some things to give us the best chance to even compete going into the tournament. Because I'll say now, if Olivia Miles can't go, we cannot make a deep run into the tournament. We just can't. I mean, maybe they can prove me wrong, but I just don't see that. But we'll see how things go. But they do need to just kind of just shake off everything yesterday. I mean, that was just one game. It was in a tournament we didn't have to win to get in the tournament. We won the ACC regular season championship, but there is something we need to take out of yesterday's game, because that was just a pathetic display despite all the odds being against us anyways, what I'm trying to say. So thank you so much. In 2 weeks, I'll have a show for the women to actually probably in 1 week, because they'll select, because the men's selection is next Sunday. The women's selection is the next day on Monday night, I believe. And then I'll probably do a show either Tuesday or Wednesday to give my analysis on to see how far I think we can go. Probably those first 2 games. I mean, you got to win the first game first, but the first 2 rounds will be played in South Bend. So at least we'll have those games at home, and then the regionals will be to be determined. So thank you so much for joining. And as always, go Irish.